Hello, I am Coach Jan, and I am here to talk to you about diastasis recti, or recti. So, what is that? Basically, that means you've got a separation in your abs. So, let's get more technical. I will show you the, sorry, I had a little fluffer thing going on. So these are your abdominal muscles. And do you see that white line in the middle? That is your linea alba. And let me just hide these obliques here because we don't need to see the obliques. What we want to see is the rectus abdominis. So that 8-pack right there, the 6-pack muscles, I'm sorry, I'm so shaky. Oh. So, yeah, you can see that white line there. And so when you have diastasis recti, those rectus abdominal muscles, the 6-pack muscles, they pull away from each other. And so I've got another picture that I'm going to show you really quickly. And this is there, you can have diastasis recti in different areas within your, like the whole length. I don't know if you can see this very well. It's kind of small. But like you can see, let's see, can we focus right here? How you can have it lower, you can have it higher, you can have it the whole length, and those have different names. You don't necessarily need to know that. But this just is an example of diastasis recti. Hi, Vanessa, how are you? And Josie, Denise, hello. That's when you wet your pants when you jump. Tina, hi, thank you all for being here. So let's talk about the separation of those rectus abdominal muscles and how to deal with that, because it's usually caused from pregnancy, because you're growing a baby in there and it pushes everything out of the way, pushes up the diaphragm. If you've been pregnant, it changes your life, changes your body. And so those abdominals can separate. And so that weakens your abdominals, and it can get worse. It can become more severe if you don't know how to strengthen that area appropriately and which movements to stay away from. So I am going to show you some ways that you can work to increase your core strength without causing more intra-abdominal pressure to increase that gap in between your rectus abdominis muscles. You ready? Hi, Alex. So like I just said, you really want to avoid anything that will cause more intra-abdominal pressure, because that will, like a balloon, you know, forces those to spread apart even more. And so something that creates intra-abdominal pressure is like bearing down. So you want to avoid doing that. And we're going to focus more on, as you exhale, pulling your abdominals in. So that'll be the first thing we practice. And believe it or not, it may not even seem related, but how you breathe is really a crucial element of healing, part of the healing of rectus diastasis recti. Ready to learn more? All right. Any baby yet? Vanessa, we're just hanging on for you. Okay, so some exercises you want to avoid are crunches, because you can see that will cause more pressure in this area. So avoiding crunches. Depending on your strength, you might want to avoid planks, because that can cause more pressure. And we'll talk about scaling those planks up as you increase in strength. What else do you want to avoid? Of course, anything that's going to be opening up like this, like back bends. I don't know if you do back bends often, but just, of course, extending the spine excessively, you want to avoid that. So those are some things you want to avoid. And twisting. And so basically, when you're thinking about every abdominal exercise, You're like, what can I do? There are no abdominal exercises to do. But we're going to focus on the deep layers of the abdominals. So the rectus abdominis in the obliques, the external obliques, they're the most superficial. They're on the outside. But then you've got your deepest layer of your abdominals is your transversus abdominis. And we're going to work on strengthening your pelvic floor as well. Let me say, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I just happen to like exercise and I research stuff. So if I learn more, I will share more, but I just want to make that clear. So again, just to show you this picture, that's the rectus abdominis, and those muscles there on the side, those are the internal obliques. So let's fade these muscles, or let's hide those. Go away, go away, go away. And now, this is the transversus abdominis. And I want you to look at those fibers there. You can see that the fibers run horizontally. So it's kind of like, I like to think of like a corset. So as you contract those muscles, you can see that it's like pulling in and securing in, cinching in. So that is what we're going to focus on first. No baby yet? I figured not if you're here on Facebook. Cat, cow, okay, I would say no. If you have diastasis recti, doing that cow and the crunch, that will exacerbate that. So, yeah, any cat, cow is a little bit more gentle, but still I would avoid those. And if you have any questions, talk to your doctor, talk to your OBGYN, or a physical therapist, or somebody that has a lot more knowledge in that area. But I would say no. I would say avoid that. Hi, Amy. So you have diastasis recti. Go ahead and tell us, insert your comments about your experience and what you've learned and how you're dealing with that. So let me just say, a way to know if you have it is, let me just move that a little further out of the way so I can show you. So I'm just going to lift up my shirt here, not to show you my abs, but just to show you like the musculature. So you can see that this is where my rectus abdominis, there's a separation there. So you can put your fingers into that, and if you have, I don't know the exact length, like there are measurements to say the severity of it and whether or not you clinically can be diagnosed with it. But the further the separation, or if you have parts that are further separated than the others, then that's a good indication that you have diastasis recti. And it's pretty common. So, yeah. Amy, were you diagnosed with that? Or do you know from experience that you have that? So again, this phenomenon, it really, it's hard to strengthen your abdominals, because if you think about it this way, like if you have a series of bungee cords, I always think of muscles in like bungee cords, but if they were being pulled out to the side, and so they wouldn't be able to be held as taut. So I don't know if that's a good explanation, but basically it's hard for you to do core work because the abdominals are weakened because they've been pulled apart, and especially with pregnancy, they've been lengthened. So they track it by finger width. You started at almost 3 and down to 1 finger. Good for you, Amy. So yeah, a lot of people will track by fingers. So from 3 to 1, that's impressive. So please let us know some of your, hi. Oh, thank you. I love water. My husband's the best. If what's worked best for you. Okay, so I'm just going to start seated, and we're going to talk about breathing and the transversus abdominis, and also the diaphragm and the multifidus. So that's on your back. So all of those things help to compress, and that's what we're trying to do. Instead of, like I said, increasing that pressure and expanding outward, we're all about compressing in, like shrink wrapping around your spine and your organs. So if you want to practice with me, and the thing is, these exercises, you might feel like this isn't doing anything because they're very simple and they're not like big movements, but they're so critical and important. So let's talk about breathing first. So go ahead and inhale, and then as you exhale, draw your abdominals in. So not moving your back, not moving your pelvis, but using those transversus abdominis muscles to cinch in tighter. So I don't know if this will help, but I'll go ahead and stand up and just flex for you. So like, this is me not contracting or anything. This is my belly. And so as I exhale, I pull in tight. And exhale, pull in tight. So like a lot of people, when they exhale, they actually bear down, and that increases that pressure. So like when people are constipated or whatever, and they're trying to push something out, we want to avoid that, and we want to pull in, compress in. So you can think about, again, like the saran wrap, the shrink wrap, hugging it around your spine or pulling your belly button into your spine. So that's what you want to do as you're breathing, okay? So, yeah, that's another way to think about it, and this is really effective. So you've got your pelvis, it's split into two halves, right? And you've got your ASIS right here. It's the anterior superior iliac spine, which is basically your hip bones right here. You can think about those drawing together. So the two halves of your pelvis are squeezing in on each other, pulling together. So thinking about the multifidus, sucking in from the back as well, which we often don't think about. So you've got a PSIS, your posterior superior, superior iliac spine. Teaching to you so many fun words, but you can think about those drawing together as you do that exhale. Okay? And now let's focus on the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor, basically, I've heard of it this way. It's like practicing Kegel exercises, but also supporting your pelvic floor. It's like you're lifting a tissue. So you've got your pelvic floor is flat and your diaphragm is flat up at the top. So you've got kind of a cylinder shape with the transversus abdominis in front, the multifidus in the back, and the pelvic floor and the diaphragm on top. And so all of that is shrinking in as you're doing this exhale. So yeah, like a great way to practice these pelvic floor exercises is, you know, when you've really got to go to the bathroom, or when you're urinating and you want to stop the stream, is that feeling of cinching in tight around that area. So another way to think about this, and not to be crass or anything, but like lifting up your anus. So that thought of stopping the stream of your urine, or lifting up through your that's really, I just feel so crass saying that, but that is also a great way to focus on strengthening the pelvic floor. Now the diaphragm up on top, a lot of us are breathing in the opposite way that we should be. So let me just take a deep breath right here. So no, we don't want to breathe that way, because our lungs are built to expand down and out as we inhale. And so as you're taking your inhale, think of your lungs and your diaphragm dropping. And the way that it works is, what that's doing is it's decreasing the pressure in your lungs so that oxygen's brought in. That's how it works. So think of lowering down your diaphragm as you inhale, and then contracting everything in as you exhale. So any questions about that so far? So Vanessa says, I'm seeing a pelvic floor PT to be proactive in dealing with this during my pregnancy. She said labor itself can cause additional damage depending on how it goes and your breathing. Obviously, pregnancy stretches out the muscles too, definitely. So yes, labor, it's a lot of that bearing down. So again, that intra-abdominal pressure can cause that damage. Thank you for loving my awkwardness. Christy, moi to you. Okay, so those were some breathing exercises. You don't need to get on the floor or do anything. Like, it doesn't involve like what you typically consider an exercise, but truly very important for increasing the strength in those deep abdominal muscles. Okay, now I'm going to show you some ways that you can work on a plank. So for a lot of people, especially if you haven't been active for a long time, you might want to avoid a plank because that can expand it depending on the strength that you have. But planks are so good for building strength isometrically because you're not moving your spine up and down. You're holding a position, and as you're sucking in tight, like I just explained, that helps to support the transversus abdominis. So let me show you some ways to modify a plank. So first off, I'm just going to show you, there's my washing machine and my socks up on top. So you can do planks against the wall or against an elevated, when you're at an incline, you have less pressure, less gravity that you're working against. So even just holding a plank like this, focusing on drawing everything in as you exhale, lifting through the pelvic floor, and then lowering the diaphragm as you inhale, all of that will work to strengthen the core, okay? And then as you get stronger and more stable, you can move further back, and then you can even do modified planks on the floor. So, like again, drawing in your belly here, and you can eventually move your knees further out until you're in this supported plank, and then eventually to a full plank. Another exercise that you can do is pelvic tilting. So let me just show you that really quick. So you've got your pelvis here, your ASIS right here, the hip bones that I talked about, and your pubic bone right there. So in a neutral position, these are in the same plane, meaning if this was a table, the glass wouldn't be spilling one way or another, your glass would be level. A pelvic tilt is you lift your pubic bone up and you lower your hip bones. So the glass of water would be spilling towards you. So it's not a huge movement, but again, it activates through that transversus abdominis and even a little bit through the obliques as you're drawing all of those things in. So again, it's all about compression, about drawing in. So notice this is not a big movement. It's just tilting through my pelvis back and forth. Okay? And when you get stronger, you can even do some hip bridges, but again, holding in tight, like never coming up into this. And I would just keep it low, but focusing on compressing, drawing everything in. Another one of my favorite abdominal exercises that keeps everything stable. Let's see. Yeah, my foot will. It's easier with socks or on carpet or something, but you drag your foot out and you pull it back in. Drag your foot out and pull it back in. So you're using those deep abdominal muscles to pull in. Okay? So again, these are all very simple movements. They take a lot of conscious effort, but so important to activate those deep abdominal muscles to help heal and support that diastasis recti. Okay, any more questions? So Sarah said, I'm pretty sure I have this. I've had 2 daughters. Thank you for, you bet, Sarah. I'm so happy to help. Hi, Grace. So any other questions? Any questions at all? Where did my phone go? There it is. So let me show you again. This is the transversus abdominis. This is what we've been talking about the whole time. So again, those fibers run horizontally. So you want to pull those in, cinch all of that in. And you can see that linea alba in the middle. Can I bring back? I'm just trying to figure out this app here. Let's see. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. We want muscles. I don't want the whole body though. Pardon me while I figure out what I'm doing. Nope, that didn't work. So let me just do this really quick. Hide that, hide that. Okay. So we're seeing a lot of muscles here, but I want to focus specifically on that linea alba in the middle, that white line that goes from your sternum down to your pubic bone, and then you can see those six-pack muscles, or the eight-pack in this case, muscles on the side. So diastasis recti is pulling those abdominal, those six-pack muscles apart. And let me show you this other picture again, just showing you that you can have diastasis recti, you can have that pulling apart all along the length of your linea alba. Megan, great question. How often should someone do these exercises, breathing a day? Well, you always want to be cognizant of it. But as far as like taking a concerted effort to do it every day, I don't know, honestly. But I would say maybe giving it 15 to 20 minutes just of consciously breathing and doing those simple movements. I think that would be sufficient, maybe even twice a day. I'm sorry that I do not have a solid answer for you. But as you're breathing, as you remember throughout the day, drawing in as you exhale. And also being aware of your posture is huge. So let me just say one last thing before we go, because this has been a long video and I don't want to take up all your time. Most of us who have been pregnant so as you're pregnant, of course you're getting bigger through here, and a lot of us develop this anterior pelvic tilt. So you've got this excessive curve through the lower back. And also when you're holding a baby and stuff, that's just, that posture is exacerbated. So again, strengthening through your core, through your multifidus, all of these muscles here, compressing in and being aware of your posture, trying to keep your pelvis neutral will help to support that as well. So again, on the floor, I was talking about pelvic tilts, right? In the neutral position, when you can balance a glass, it wasn't pouring one way or the other. So you want to think of the same thing as you're standing. The hip bones right here, the pubic bone, you want these in the same plane. So one's not further forward or back than the other. And this is the posture that you want to aim for throughout the day, as you're moving, as you're walking, as you're standing. So yes, posture plays a big role. So breathing, posture, and simple movements. And I know that it's frustrating if you've been really active and you love your abdominal exercises, but if you have this separation, it's important not to exacerbate that with all of this extra movement that will increase that pressure. So, Amy, I was wondering if you had any other thoughts, like what had worked for you, what exercises you did, because you've had so much success. I don't know if you're still here, but if you are, I would love to know your thoughts. So would the pelvic tilt be the cause of? Absolutely. So lower back pain can be caused by a myriad of things, but poor posture can definitely lead to lower back pain. So whether your pelvis is tilted anteriorly, posteriorly, it can cause that pain. So oftentimes posture, usually always, posture, what's the word? Just poor posture. It's because of muscular imbalances. So you have some muscles that are tightened and some muscles that are lengthened and need to be strengthened. So it's a balance of strengthening and stretching, which will help with your posture and help everything be in the position that it should be in. Because lower back pain can also be associated with tight hamstrings or tight hip flexors. And so just finding the balance all throughout, stretching and strengthening all of your body should help. All right, any other questions? Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're watching the replay, please ask me questions. I would love to help you out. And again, I'm not a doctor, not a physical therapist, but I love anatomy and I love movement. So Thank you so much. Have a great day.